So the first panel discussion, of course, is starting on a really positive note, and positivity is all that we seek at the end of the day to get things going. So, ladies and gentlemen, the topic that we're set to discuss for the moment is Decipher Gujarat's Residential Realities. We're all set to begin the Reality Plus Conclave with the first panel discussion of the day to get an overview of Gujarat's residential real estate. And I would love to call our moderator and distinguished speakers to talk about Decipher Gujarat's Residential Realities. This is the topic for the moment. It's Decipher Gujarat's Residential Realities. Thank you so much to all of you over here for putting this up. Ladies and gentlemen, the session will be moderated, and before I say that, I'll make two quick requests. One is that I request everybody to kindly put their phones in silent mode. We generally do not want to distract any of our speakers over here who have taken time out from their busy schedule to be with us over here. So can I please request everybody to put their phones in silent mode? And secondly, all the conversations and all the sessions are timed over here. So I request all the speakers, especially the moderator, to kindly keep a check on the timer over here, because otherwise, unfortunately, we only have 24 hours in a day, right? So we have to calculate the schedule accordingly. So two quick requests. Everybody kindly please keep your phones in silent mode. And I request our respective moderators of every session to kindly keep a note on the timing that's being displayed over here so that we can move forward throughout the day with proper timing. Thank you. So the topic for the moment is Decipher Gujarat's Residential Realities. The session will be moderated by Ravin Bhojani, Senior Director, Advisory and Transaction Services, CBRE. To tell you all a bit about him, Ravin Bhojani has demonstrated history of working in various industries and the skilled negotiation, budgeting, business planning, and business development. He has over 25 years of sales, marketing, PR, leasing, branding, and business development experience in real estate, funds, media, retail, and healthcare industry. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to kindly give it up for Mr. Ravin Bhojani for moderating this wonderful session. Can I please request Ravin Bhojani to kindly join me over here also? Give it up for sir, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Louder, please, Ahmedabad. You have a lot more enthusiasm and zeal. Can I please request people to clap louder? Thank you. Thank you. So, I'll be quickly calling our respected speakers, and I say that in alphabetical order. We have Dhruv Patel, President of CREDAI Ahmedabad, joining us as the Managing Director of Sri Ami AMI, or is it Ami? Ami, correct. Corporation and Diamond Textiles. He has over 22 years of experience in leading and growing multiple organizations in real estate development and textile manufacturing. As the President of CREDAI Ahmedabad Guidehead and the Director of CREDAI Gujarat, he is contributing to the advancement and advocacy of real estate. Thank you so much, Mr. Dhruv, for being with us over here. You shout out for him once again, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. All pioneers in their respective fields. We also have Kamal Singhal, who's the Managing Director and CEO of Arvind Smart Spaces Limited. He's been associated with the Lal Bhai Group since 2001 in various capacities. He was elevated to head the real estate business of the Lal Bhai Group in 2008. Currently, he is responsible for giving strategic direction to the real estate business and is also identifying new business opportunities and further expanding the product portfolio of the real estate business. Give it up for Mr. Kamal, please, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Show some energy, show some love over here in the bar. Thank you. We have Paras Pandit, Chairman, Managing Director, Sheetal Infrastructure, joining us over here as well. Paras Pandit, as we all know, is an experienced real estate business owner and a strong business development professional with demonstrated history of working in the real estate industry for the last 15 years. His skill and expertise lie in focus on land acquisition, business and corporate strategy, development and implementation, and business networking. Give it up for Mr. Paras, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Sir, I request you to sit, no problem. Thank you. We also have Rocky Israni, Managing Director, India Investments, Pacifica Companies. He spearheads India's operations at Pacifica Companies. He has been responsible for the group's growth and expansion since 2006, having expanded the portfolio across residential, hotels, senior housing, IT parks, townships, commercial and plotted development across 7 different cities across India, namely Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Teesta, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, and NCR. Give it up for Rocky Israni, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We also have Rohan Shah, who's the co-founder of Realate Ventures LLP. He's a co-founder of Realate and is a pioneer in real estate digital marketing, which has 100 plus pan-India clients, including some of the top listed developers of the country. Having early roots in India's digital journey and being a visionary, and 10 years of multiple entrepreneurial roles in the domestic and international market. In the year 2017, he founded Realate, where he continues to lead using his in-depth digital knowledge and business acumen. Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is ready. The panel is set. Wonderful, wonderful topic indeed. Give it up for this wonderful panel as I hand it over to them. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 16th Realty Plus Conclave, an Excellence Award for 2024 Gujarat. I'm delighted to welcome each and every panelist over here. It's a full house of, brains, experience, and knowledge over the years within real estate industry. Some of the pioneers of real estate industry within Gujarat are sitting on this stage. Some projects that have been delivered have created a marquee design and deliverance of projects that have stood out in the industry, especially in Gujarat, and created from Rocky's G to Parasbhai to Kapil Ji and Dubai. You guys have been there. I do not need to give more introduction about each and every one of you. So I'll just jump into the key points that I feel should be discussed. Gujarat is evolving. Ahmedabad is evolving. Gujarat is seeing a lot of growth in and around Ahmedabad or any other tier 2 cities that are Baroda, Surat, Rajkot. But Ahmedabad per se has been in the news for last a decade or so. And looking at the ways things are going in, according to the Gujarat Real Estate Regulatory Authority, the state records to have 1,721 new projects registered, marking a 7.7% decline from 1866 in the previous fiscal year. This trend is also evident across all categories. So I'm not talking about just residential, it's across all the categories, right? So it includes commercial, mixed-use development, and plotting schemes. The developers cited escalation in land cost, which has been the major concern over the past few years, and now that the gentry has doubled up as well. That has also caused a 20% escalation in your construction cost and labor expenses as significant challenges. And many of the projects that were initiated pre-pandemic, right, of approximately 1,866 are still under construction, and few of them are only delivered. So looking at it, there is a discrepancy between rising construction costs and property prices, resulting in a narrow profit margins for all of you guys, which is also seen in Baroda, which grapples with the kind of scarcity of land and new projects development that is happening in Baroda because of the land prices being very high. Now looking at Ahmedabad and its experience in search of redevelopment projects, I foresee that it will definitely impact the demand, right? And I feel that Ahmedabad is experiencing a surge in redevelopment, but it's still in its non stage. It's not yet, reached a stage like metros like Bangalore, Bombay, and all that redevelopment has been a core because of the scarcity of the land. How do you foresee, despite the challenges, are you all optimistic about the market? I'll just jump in with Dhruv because he is part of the Pradai fraternity in Dahej. How do you foresee the advancement in technology and digitalization that is happening and the residential real estate market in Gujarat in particular in terms of customer orientation, engagement, and the new projects that are coming in along with the redevelopment? Where do you foresee the market bending towards?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I come on behalf of CREDAI today, so I will give you an industry perspective in terms of the projects launched that you shared. In Gujarat, if we see the real estate market, yearly is approximately 2.5 lakh crore rupees yearly. And per se, Ahmedabad constitutes around 40 to 45% of the entire volume. In terms of number of projects launched and now RERA that it is in place, we have very good numbers which can give us a direction of where the market is going. So yes, there is a decline in the number of projects this year, but on the other hand, if you see pre-pandemic levels and the average number of launches, it is still higher. But post-pandemic, there was a vacuum in the market for 1.5, 2 years, good 1.5, 2 years. So subsequently, looking at the opportunity, there were a lot of new projects that were launched. So the number went up in the last 2-3 years. But now if you see and compare with the long-term average, it is still higher. So I think in that, the market is positive. So one of the data points I wanted to share here. In terms of the question that you shared with me about digitalization and technology, I think it's a very fairly simple question. Everybody knows that technology and digitalization is taking over each and every aspect of our life or any sector, any industry per se. So in terms of construction, yes, we are getting more mechanized, I would say. If you see 10 years before, you would not see simplest crane on any project handling the materials. Today, every project has a crane. So I think technology adoption is happening, but more in a mechanized format. Yes, there are digital cloning technologies for construction site management, virtual reality that we use for customer engagement. So I think that all is happening, but at a slower pace. Because the kind of technology, the kind of manpower needed for that is still getting cultivated, I would say. So I think the way forward is that, but on the customer end, customer management, branding, I think digitalization, virtual reality is quite common now. So I think from a customer perspective, the industry is the right way.
So I'll take that point off and I'll discuss on the point with regards to engaging on the customer side is great. How about technology has helped in construction with the cost rising within the construction side and the rates are escalated for the land as well. How is it the digitalization has improvised or saved you on the cost? And the same question I'll request to be answered by Kapil sir as well.
I think technology in terms of the softwares that we use for management of sites, for getting our SOPs in place, waste management, efficiency management, I think it is helping. But that is the back-end part of the construction fraternity or the development activity. In terms of quality management, yes, there are good drone technologies now available to see what kind of construction quality, what are the defects, and then it gives you a report right away so you can work on them. So ground level technologies to improve the efficiency in construction are in place, but I would say it's still at an nascent stage.
The question would be a bit changed for you, Kapil sir, because you majorly are developing farmhouse projects and all that. How it is or how it has changed your dynamics with regards to technology coming in, with regards to the residential prices getting higher and land costs getting expensive. How have you managed to maintain the cost and the deliverance of project on time?
Sure. So as my fellow panelists said, on the first one, the numbers going down to some little extent in the in the current year as compared to previous year. I think this is where we say that just we can get up to be fatal. And very well said by him that it was kind of a pent-up demand which was there post-COVID, so it surged extraordinarily, and now it is stabilizing and coming into a steady state kind of situation. But still, the numbers are at least 25-30% higher than what they were on a long-term average basis pre-COVID. So there is not a single developer who will say that there is anything to do with demand side in the market which will bring the number of projects being launched to any level which is not ideal. Everybody is bullish, and the constraint to launch is not the demand. The constraint to launch is really having good land parcels and getting the clearances, etc. on time and getting it ready to launch in the market. So that's where we are, and that's how it is working across the market. And at least Gujarat has this situation. So if you have good material, if you've got good stocks, it will sell, and launching it in that sense is not an issue.
Technology, yes. I mean, technology has many pieces, and it boils down to the overall supply chain, making it more efficient. It might not necessarily be related to construction. It might be how you sell, how you present, how you launch, how you promote, etc., etc., and any efficiency there. For example, about 15% of sales price that we realize goes towards these kind of things, promoting, selling, overheading, etc., controlling. So, in my understanding, technology on the construction side is more to do and more effective in monitoring what is happening on ground and controlling what is happening on ground. And there we got great softwares, great startups, great mechanisms, great technologies, both hardware and software which have come into play. And industry is doing much better than what they were doing earlier. On the other side, it has impacted, technology has impacted cost on sales. For example, our company and our digital head is sitting here right now. We sell almost a third of what we do total from digital sources. That means 1/3 of our sale is direct and mainly coming from digital sources through your social media, stuff like that, and no middleman is involved. And that obviously has a very direct impact on the cost of sale, and that helps us balancing the overall cost structure. Even if there is some little appreciation happening in terms of cost of construction in materials, etc., it gets taken care by these kind of businesses, the overall supply chain. So technology definitely is one of the engines which is driving overall balancing of the cost.
And I've been personally witness to your ways of using technology to the core, and it has definitely brought in that kind of a change within the industry where more and more people are. Paras, right? My question to you, coming from the residential part, આજની તારીખમાં મિડ સેગમેન્ટ અને અપર મિડ સેગમેન્ટની જે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી છે જ્યાં તમે હાઈ એન્ડ અને મિડલ સેગમેન્ટના રેસિડેન્શિયલ ડિલિવરી કર્યા છે એ પ્રમાણે તમને શું લાગે છે કે આગળ જતા ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીમાં which is the market trend તમારા પ્રમાણે કે કયા રેસિડેન્શિયલ વધારે વેચાશે? અત્યાર સુધી આપણે પોસ્ટ કોવિડ જોયું છે તો એમાં જોયું છે કે luxurious apartments વધારે વેચાણા છે. But over the last 1 year, if you look at lot many luxurious projects were launched, which have not seen that kind of attraction except for farmhouses. જે ઘણા વેચાણા છે. તમે deliver કર્યા છે ઘણા luxurious projects અને mid segment project. આપનું શું કહેવું છે કે આગળ જતા ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીના પ્રમાણે, અમદાવાદના માર્કેટ પ્રમાણે, ગુજરાતના માર્કેટ પ્રમાણે કયા નવા પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ તમારા હિસાબે લોન્ચ થવા જોઈએ અને તમે કયા માર્કેટને ટાર્ગેટ કરો છો?
બેઝિકલી આપણે અમદાવાદના માર્કેટની વાત કરીએ તો ફક્ત હાયર સેગમેન્ટ કે મિડલ સેગમેન્ટની ના વાત કરી શકીએ, કારણ કે અમદાવાદ માર્કેટમાં દરેક સેગમેન્ટના કસ્ટમરો જે છે એ અવેલેબલ છે. ચાહે તમે મિડ સેગમેન્ટના કહો કે હાયર સેગમેન્ટના કહો કે એફોર્ડેબલ અને 1-2 BHK વાળા કહો. અમદાવાદ માર્કેટ જે છે છેલ્લા 5 વર્ષમાં જોઈએ તો છેલ્લા 25 વર્ષમાં સૌથી વધારે એ આફ્ટર કોવિડ એનું રિઝલ્ટ આવ્યું છે. ધ રીઝન ઓફ કે આફ્ટર કોવિડ આપણે બધી જ ઇફેક્ટો જોઈ કે ફેમિલી સેપરેટ થયા છે, ઘણા બધા જે છે એના કારણો રહ્યા છે. અને આવનારા માર્કેટમાં હું માનું છું કે દરેક સેગમેન્ટ, ચાહે મિડલ સેગમેન્ટ હોય, લોઅર સેગમેન્ટ હોય કે અપર સેગમેન્ટ હોય, એ આવનારા 5 વર્ષમાં જે રીતનું માર્કેટ જઈ રહ્યું છે અને જે રીતના આપણે જોઈ રહ્યા છે કે દિલ્હીમાં પણ એક સ્ટેબલ સરકાર જેવું છે, તો ઓબ્વિયસલી ગુજરાત અને અમદાવાદ એ સેકન્ડ ફાઇનાન્સ સ્ટેટ જેવું થઈ રહ્યું છે કન્ટ્રીનું. અને હું માનું છું કે બધા સેગમેન્ટો એ સારી રીતના ઉપડશે. હાલ કેટલાક મહિનાઓથી જે છે એ રિયલ એસ્ટેટમાં એવું ચાલી રહ્યું છે કે માર્કેટ સ્ટેબલ છે, પણ હંમેશા જોઈ રહ્યા છો કે એક સમય પછી એ માર્કેટ ઉઠવાનું હોય તો પણ સ્ટેબલ રહે છે, અને ક્યારેક જે છે ચૂંટણી છે અને ઘણા બધા પરિબળો એમાં કામ કરતા હોય છે. પણ દરેક સેગમેન્ટ જે છે, પણ હું સ્પેશિયલી કસ્ટમર જે છે ચાહે મિડલ સેગમેન્ટના હોય કે નાના એફોર્ડેબલ સેગમેન્ટના હોય કે મોટા સેગમેન્ટના હોય, એ બધાને મેન્ટલી પ્રિપેર રહેવું પડશે ફોર ધ કોસ્ટિંગ. કારણ કે આજે પણ લોકો એમને કોસ્ટ સારી પ્રોડક્ટની ચૂકવવામાં હજુ પણ થોડું ક્વેશ્ચન છે કે એ જોતા નથી કે લેન્ડ કોસ્ટ કયા લેવલ પર વધી ગઈ છે, મટીરિયલ્સ કયા લેવલ પર વધી રહ્યા છે. એ જ રીતના જે છે ઘણા બધા પરિબળો એક પ્રોડક્ટ તૈયાર કરવા માટે થતું હોય છે. બીજી વસ્તુ કે હું એક સૌથી સરસ વાત કહીશ કે અમદાવાદ રિયલ એસ્ટેટમાં અત્યારે જે પણ ડેવલપર છે એને બધાથી બેસ્ટ કરવું છે. પહેલાનું જે અમદાવાદ ડેવલપ થતું હતું અને અત્યારના ડેવલપમેન્ટમાં જે નવી જનરેશન આવી છે ડેવલપર્સમાં, એને કંઈક સારું અમદાવાદ આપવું છે. તો ઓબ્વિયસલી તમારે જો એક સારું અમદાવાદ, સારું ઘર, સારી પ્રોડક્ટ જોઈતી હોય અને જમીન અને કન્સ્ટ્રક્શનના પ્રોડક્ટનું પણ મટીરિયલનું પણ ધ્યાન આપવું તો એક પ્રોડક્ટ ચૂકવવી પડશે. એટલે ભવિષ્યમાં હું માનું છું અમદાવાદનું માર્કેટ એ ખરેખર દરેક સેગમેન્ટમાં સારું રહેશે. પણ આપ દ્વારા હું કહેવા માંગીશ કે થોડુંક જે છે કોસ્ટિંગ આપવા પણ એમને મેન્ટલી તૈયાર રહેવું.
Fair. So, taking the cue from Paras bhai, Rocky sir, I have a question that despite all these challenges that we face with regards to the cost, the demand that is there, but people are not ready to shell out, what is it that remains so much optimism within the Gujarat real estate, developers, and what is it that you specifically factor to the that contributes to this optimism? How do you foresee that optimism will, particularly in regards to infrastructure and growth of Gujarat in residential, will further adhere? And how do you foresee that the demand and supply would be at parallel, and there should be an kind of an parity between both, which we currently are seeing in certain high-end residential or luxurious apartments?
Good afternoon, everybody. So, Rohan, we have to understand that real estate manufacturing is not like a car manufacturing where the cycle is only 2-3 months. We have a 3 to 5 year cycle from the time that the developer buys land and he actually delivers the finished product. So there is always bound to be some disconnect in the temporary phases between demand and supply of every asset class. The minute a developer realizes that a particular asset class or a luxury or a particular location or a particular micro market is underserved, a lot of people jump into it. But the product takes 5 years to be delivered. So hence we see micro dynamics play a lot of role where we say, oh, luxury is not selling. But it's just temporarily oversupplied. That is the reason that it is seeing a slowness in sales. Today, everybody is saying affordable is selling less because there's always going to be disconnect between the customer's expectation on pricing and value for money and what a developer can deliver within the complex climatic conditions that a developer has to face, from land pricing to construction costs to inflation during the construction of that particular project. So we're a very fast-growing economy. Meaning, I don't think any country in the world is growing at an 8% GDP growth as we are. This 8% is a real GDP growth. Add the inflation to it. So we're actually growing at 13% in absolute terms. So when you say you're growing at your land pricing has gone up by 20% in 2 years, you're still 6% more affordable than what you were. So that's how I look at it. Because your inflation and your GDP growth is 13% per year. 5% for inflation and 8% for real growth. Inflation adjusted growth. So pricing will continue to grow. This is one asset class which will beat inflation numbers always. So your appreciation is always going to be higher than the inflation numbers. So your price appreciation of secondary product or primary product is going to be in high single digits or sometimes low double digits every year. And that's going to continue to be like this for the next maybe 5-10 years. We're a $4 trillion economy today. A very big conglomerate said that we'll be $40 trillion economy very soon. 20 years, So obviously we'll be growing at a much higher pace. Demand has no issues, absolutely. We're selling dismal numbers of homes, and I'm saying these numbers are very low. If I add up the arithmetic of every asset class, the supply side is very low. Why is that low? Because the materialization of demand is not happening because of the affordability of people. Aspirations are growing faster than, like Parasbhai said, people want the product but they don't want to pay. The affordability is not increasing at the same pace as the quality of the product in the market is increasing. So there's a constant push by the developer to make a better product than what market is offering, and hence the price will go up. So we'll have to align to the current market conditions, but every single thing is going to sell. Ahmedabad has a very high growth prospect because we're one of the highly industrialization state. We have a stable government for the last 40 years. I don't think so any state had to offer that. That adds to the GDP growth. We contribute maybe 10% of the GDP as a state. More. I think we are at like 15 or 18% of the total industrial development of the country. That's true. So we should get the disproportionate ratio of sales and home sales. All that is happening, and that's what keeping every consumer bullish because new jobs are being created. Growth is at a higher pace. Then, if the country is growing at 8% and we're growing at 15% as a state, obviously we will have a high demand statistics compared to other states. And we're not selling enough units. We're selling, I think Ahmedabad is selling maybe 25,000 units. Who can correct me if this data is correct? That's correct. And these number of units are not growing at the pace that they should be growing. 20 years ago, we were selling 15,000 units. So where is the growth? There is so much of pent-up demand that is keeping this asset class as a very desirable asset class. There is huge pent-up demand. Everybody would know that you get 100 customers to make an inquiry and then you have one sale. What happens to the other 99? That's a pent-up demand that is increasing day by day.
So we are undersupplied in a way.
We're not undersupplied. Affordability index is low. Supply is matching up the demand. If you sell 40,000 homes, I'm saying we as developers are capable to deliver 50,000 homes. But because the demand is not materializing due to the low affordability, hence the supply and demand temporarily mismatches are happening. We don't have too much overhead. I think we have 2-3 years of inventory, and we need 5 years to build a cycle from the time that we buy land to deliver, if you're not a land banker. So I see a very high growth prospects for home sales going forward. I wouldn't be surprised. One of the studies I was just reading that India would need 10 crore homes in the next 10 years. 10 crore homes.
That's because of the urbanization that's happening.
Correct.
People are moving in.
So urbanization, redevelopment, dilapidation of the old homes, replacement market, what we will call it, all of that will add to huge demand. I don't think so demand anybody should worry about in real estate for the next decade. That's my word.
So that's my initiation of the discussion, that optimism is there and it shows within all 5 of you sitting here. But yes, coming back to that question about out of 100 walk-ins, one turns into sales, right? Is there a lack of marketing? Is there a lack of penetration into the market, or that kind of utilization of the digitization within the industry that is required to bring in that? And that could be answered by the expert. I'll post Rocky sir's answer.
Sure. Firstly, thanks. Firstly, thanks for having me here. It's a great panel to be part of, and quite inspiring stories from the rest of the panelists. And it's good to be in the real estate space. So we are a digital agency only working on the real estate space for the last 15 years. Now coming to the question that whether Ahmedabad has enough digitization. I think compared to say a Bombay and a Bangalore, there is a lot of room to increase the amount of the efforts we are making in the digital space. So you can look at two parts to this. One is building the digital assets, which is your website, your social media handles, your SEO efforts, your Google Map listings. So these can be much more these can be built up. These should be at par with Bombay and Bangalore, because we see a lot of demand from cross market, which is the other metro cities, as well as from the overseas market. And these all guys are young buyers. So there's a lot of research that they're going to do. If they want to buy any, if they want to invest in any project, they'll be probably comparing 4 to 5 different sites and 4 to 5 different social media handles. There's one part is basically building your digital assets, and second is the amount of marketing spends that you're doing in terms of getting more and more leads, via Google, Facebook, etc. In terms of digital, the cost to sales is normally less than 2%. This is what you're paying to brokers, right? This normally is around 1.5% here. So we can. There is great scope to increase spends, and the great thing about digital is that it's completely ROI driven. So if you're spending say 1 lakh, you will know exactly how many inquiries you got, how many of these led to visits and led to bookings. So normally it would be around 100 inquiries that lead to about 1 booking. So this is something, if you're going to increase the number of inquiries, you will be able to increase the number of bookings. There's great scope in digital for us to do that.
So yeah, digital is the way forward, but looking at the construction industry growing side by side, how do you foresee the next development phase should be? Are we looking at mixed-use development still to continue, or they are going to be bifurcated in a way that the residential will be pure residential and there will be separate commercial, because commercial does play a part. Just understanding from Rocky, sir, you had launched a project in Vaishno Devi a decade ago, where there was nothing as such, no social infrastructure, and you managed to sell all your residential Pacifica Group. How do you foresee the next phase of development should happen? Where should be the target of development? Should be a mixed-use development with commercial and residential that has been the a tradition that Gujarat has been going on, or it should be separated? And do you see that could make a difference with the deliverance of project costing as well? Because certainly most of the business or the revenue is earned through the commercial when we do a mixed-use development, and that kind of balances out.
So you said it, the mixed-use project essentially are not as desirable for residents that for living, but because it subsidizes the residential pricing, which is where the most of the issue is. Your commercial development, your retail and your ground and first floor commercial development would subsidize the residential pricing. Because of the high land pricing, you just don't have any other option but to do a mixed-use project in the highly dense urban areas. But when you go a little further away from the cities, like Arvind is doing, they don't have to be mixed-use projects, because you're doing a low density horizontal development because the land pricing is still rational there. So it's a trade-off. If you want to live within the dense urban setup, you will find more and more mixed-use projects as a to subsidize the residential pricing, or you'll have to go further away from the city and commute longer distances. So that's the trade-off that one will have to make. But more and more projects, you will see them as mixed-use development.
And which are the target audiences that all 4 of you are looking forward to target? Which is the kind of luxurious projects are the way forward, or mid-segment is the way forward? Because we've seen over Sheela and Shilajit area, the low mid-segment has not seen that traction. So it's an open question to all 4 of the speakers here. They can answer. And what is the new technology that you'll be wanting to, indulge in going forward? So I keep it open for all 4 of you to answer that.
I think in terms of the India story, we know the rising middle class, right, which will be the largest segment of people who will be growing in the country. The way we are growing, I think as a company, everybody has their own placement strategies. Somebody, say like Safal, would be doing only premium segment. There are other developers like Sridhar. I'll give other examples because to find logic. They have mainly been focused into RF zone. Lately, they are now into plotting or plotted developments. But then again, the ticket size is not that large, so their customer base is the same. So every company has their own strategy of product placement and their client that they want to target. But I see as a company, if I'm talking about my company, I will be focusing that segment only, not the lower segment or not the Uber segment as well. Because in the lower segment, government itself is building a lot of affordable homes, wherein we all know that there is no land cost to the government. So it would be very hard to compete in that segment. On that 2-bedroom premiums or 3 and 4-bedroom segments, I think that is the bandwidth that my company or my projects which I have placed today would be looking at in the next 10 years. Kapil sir.
Like he said, it depends on company and its strategy, its strengths, its weaknesses, etc. For example, a company like ours will generally be preferring other than ultra low cost, because the way we are configured, the way we look at business, the way our margin structures are, the way our cost structures are, we'll be better off doing mid segments and upper mid segments, and maybe some bit of luxury to be used as icing on the cake kind of a thing. And that's what many of the developers are actually doing, at least in the organized sector as I see them. So there clearly could be one demarcation between comparatively unorganized developers vis-a-vis little more organized, long-termish, better balance sheets, etc., those kind of developers. Generally, the second segment would focus on mid and higher ends, and the other segment possibly could be a little more heavy on the ultra affordable. I'm saying affordable is affordable for everybody. We'll put any money where we'll put all our bets where the money is. If tomorrow I get a project which is affordable, ultra affordable, but it's as profitable, makes sense in terms of what strengths I have, I'll do it. I mean, there's nothing which says that I will not do it. I can do a Nano and I can do a Land Rover within the same umbrella, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. But yeah, it varies from the. Our clear focus is mid-priced and little higher than mid-priced.
In fact, that has been the key attracting point when I see an advert saying that you can own a land at around 50 lakh rupees, and that's what Uplands delivers, and you have delivered that. And that's how I foresee that kind of marketing and that kind of segment where Dhruv also said with regards to the middle class or the upper middle class are the ones who have the pockets to spend. Uber class, yes, it is a limited inventory that we have. Most of them are investors, and I foresee that because of a lot of commercialization, lots of industries coming in. Rocky said his share with regards to many industries setting in. We have brought in few major industries within MIDC and Gift City and all shaping up, which is my next topic of discussion during the day today. So that has also made a lot of urbanization happen in Ahmedabad, a lot of migration that has happened, and of course I foresee that mid segment and the upper mid segment would definitely stand forward and keep on growing. As inspirational buyers as well who have now the pockets are looking at having a second home. That's how farmhouses have been sold. That's how Sheetal West Park and lots of Sheetal projects have seen that traction where most of the crowd is now a cosmopolitan crowd rather than a targeted audience of Gujarati families shifting in. So continuing with that question with Parasbhai, તમને શું લાગે છે આ શિબિરના પ્લાન demands and what do you foresee that the market should be adapting to?
બેઝિકલી શીતલ ઇન્ફ્રાસ્ટ્રક્ચર 18 વર્ષથી રિયલ એસ્ટેટ ક્ષેત્રમાં છે અને એને ડિફરન્ટ પ્રોડક્ટ ડિફરન્ટ મિડ સેગમેન્ટ કે લોઅર સેગમેન્ટ અપર સેગમેન્ટ અમે બધા જ માટે બનાવેલી છે. જેમ કે કમલભાઈએ કીધું કે ઓબ્વિયસલી અમે નેનો નહીં પણ અમે વેગેનારથી લઈને અને રેન્જ રોવર સુધીની પ્રોડક્ટ આજે બી સર્વ કરી રહ્યા છીએ. જેમ કે રેન્જ રોવર ટાઈપની પ્રોડક્ટ જે છે એ મારી વન ઓફ ધ બેસ્ટ પ્રોજેક્ટ ઘરાના કરીને છે અને ખરેખર એ વિઝિટ કરવા જેવી છે. એમાં મારું પોતાનું પર્સનલ ઇન્વોલ્વમેન્ટ છે. જેમ કે હું મારો પરિચય આપું તો હું બોટમથી ટોપ સુધી આવ્યો છું અને એ જર્નીને મેં આખા રિયલ એસ્ટેટના દરેક સેગમેન્ટમાં મેં સર્વ કરી છે અને બહુ સારી રીતના સર્વ કરી છે. એટલે આજે જ્યારે હું ઘરાના બનાવી રહ્યો છું તો એક અપર ક્લાસ વર્ગ જેને બંગલો કદાચ આંબલી યા મકરબા સાઈડ ખરીદવો હોય અને કદાચ એ હવેની પરિસ્થિતિમાં એ 30-40 કરોડની આસપાસ થઈ જાય છે તો એવા વ્યક્તિઓ માટે અમે સરસ ઘરાના પ્રોડક્ટ બનાવી છે અને they feel like living in bungalow. There is a individual apartment અને લગભગ 6,500-7,000 ફૂટથી લઈને અને 14,000 ફૂટની સ્કાય વિલા છે. તો એ લોકો માટે બી એમને શું લક્ઝરી જોઈએ, કઈ રીતનું રહેઠાણ, કારણ કે જેટલા લક્ઝરી ખરીદનાર લોકો છેલ્લે તો 2 જણ રહી જતા હોય છે. એટલે એ પણ હવે ધ્યાનમાં રાખીને એમની માટે એવી પ્રોડક્ટ બનાવી છે. જેમ કે આપણે વાત કરી શીતલ વેસ્ટ પાર્ક છે, એ કાસાવ્યુમાં પ્રોડક્ટ છે અમારી. એ જ પ્રકારની પ્રોડક્ટ હવે અમે લોકો એ લગભગ 650 એપાર્ટમેન્ટ ઘરાના ધરોહર કરીને અમે નિર્માની આસપાસ બનાવી રહ્યા છે. તો એ હાયર મિડલ ક્લાસ અને થોડુંક મિડલ ક્લાસથી અપર એ લોકો માટે અમે એપાર્ટમેન્ટ તૈયાર કરી રહ્યા છે 3 અને 4 BHK ટાઈપના. તો ત્યાં મારે એ સેગમેન્ટમાં પોતાને ઢાળીને અને આ ક્લાસના લોકોને શું જરૂરિયાત છે, કયા પ્રકારની એમના લિવિંગ ડ્રોઈંગ બેડરૂમની સાઇઝ હોવી જોઈએ, જો નિર્માની આજુબાજુ એમના સન કે ડોટર ભણતા હોય તો એમના સ્ટડી રૂમ્સ કઈ રીતના હોવા જોઈએ. તો હવે એકચ્યુઅલમાં આ પ્રોડક્ટો જે છે એ અમે પોતે ઓનર લેવલ પર બેસીને તૈયાર કરીએ છીએ. એ જ પ્રકારે એનાથી નીચે જઈએ તો અમે રીડેવલપમેન્ટની સારી પ્રોડક્ટો જેમ કે હાઉસિંગ બોર્ડથી અમે ઘણા બધા પ્રોજેક્ટો લીધા છે અને હાઉસિંગ બોર્ડના જૂના મકાનોને આજ જે શીતલ ક્વોલિટી આપી રહી છે એ ક્વોલિટીને હાઉસિંગ બોર્ડમાં ઢાળીને અને કેવી પ્રોડક્ટ બને છે એ અમે મેમ્બરોને ભેગા કરીને દેખાડીએ છીએ. એ જ રીતના હવે લાસ્ટ વાત કરીએ તો અમે લગભગ 3,000-4,000 સ્લમ હાઉસીસ બનાવી રહ્યા છે. સ્લમ હાઉસીસમાં બી જે છે એ અમે પોતે ઇન્વોલ્વમેન્ટ નાખી રહ્યા છીએ, કારણ કે સ્લમ જે છે એ ખાલી મેં ઘણા બધા જોયા છે, હું નામ નથી લેવા માંગતો, પણ એ પ્રોફિટેબિલિટી નથી, એક સેવા પણ છે કે તમે કોઈને 1 BHK બનાવીને આપો છો અને એને પ્રધાનમંત્રી આવાસ યોજના કહીએ તો એ ઓબ્વિયસલી પ્રધાનમંત્રીનું સપનું હું બનાવી રહ્યો છું. એટલે ઓબ્વિયસલી જો આપની જોડે સમય હશે તો અમે એને કઈ રીતના તૈયાર કરી રહ્યા છે, એ અદ્યતન ટેકનોલોજીથી તૈયાર કરી રહ્યા છે અને એક લોઅર ક્લાસ વર્ગને પણ એક હાયર ક્લાસનું મકાન બની રહે, એક રૂમ, અને એમાં જે અમે એનું સેમ્પલ હાઉસ પણ તૈયાર કર્યું છે અને એ 2 લાખ રૂપિયામાં ફર્નિશ કઈ રીતનું થાય એ લોકોને અમે દેખાડી રહ્યા છીએ કે અમે 2 લાખ રૂપિયામાં તમને ઇન્ટિરિયર બનાવી નાખીએ અને એ બી તમે મને 36 કે 48 હપ્તામાં પૈસા આપો, જે આજ સુધી સ્લમમાં ક્યાંય નથી થયું એવું કરી રહ્યા. તો હવે ટ્રાય કરી રહ્યા છે કે દરેક વર્ગને જે છે એ શીતલ ઇન્ફ્રાસ્ટ્રક્ચર કે અમદાવાદ માર્કેટ, અમદાવાદ રિયલ એસ્ટેટ એ કઈ રીતના સેટિસ્ફાઈડ કરી છે.
થેન્ક યુ. સો યસ, તમે ઈ કેટેગરીને સર્વ કરો છો જ્યાં તમે પ્રધાનમંત્રી આવાસ યોજનાને સપોર્ટ કરી રહ્યા છો, which is good. So we have covered most of the points. I have had excellent panel here. Thank you all. I would not want to, because looking at time, we still have time, right?
I just wanted to add, in the digital space, since we're talking about where the demand is and what projects to launch, in the last 12 months, if you look at the last 3-4 months, there is a surge in search queries for 3 BHKs, 4 BHKs, and 4 villas. And if you look at the NRI market, there is a surge in the GCC market. So maybe people are going for larger size homes because normally the NRI market is also a space where there's larger size homes that they have demand for. And I think that's what that's what Ruji also had said, and they're going for 3 and 4 BHK. So probably this is the trend that we can look at.
And that was my question to you. Before I could question you, you answered it. Because all of them have answered what they are looking at, and I wanted to see what's the trend going on within the market and how digitization has covered that aspect and created that report to analyze that where the market trend is happening. What is the growth story for us? Of course, I personally see 3 and 4 BHK. People have moved off from 2 and 2.5 BHKs, and now 3 and 4 BHKs are the bare minimum because of the family that's growing, because of the aspirational, buyers that are coming in, and looking at the way we don't have scarcity of land. So, of course, the developments are now because of FSI that's available. The growth story happening on the north part of Ahmedabad going towards Gandhinagar and Gift City, and Vaishno Devi has become a hub now. Looking forward with it. One last question, Rocky sir. Does Gujarat have more growth on commercial, and how is commercial real estate contributing to the growth of residential and influencing the residential in the areas that have yet not seen that growth happening? Let's take an example, Gandhinagar and peripheral areas of Gandhinagar, Gift City as well, and Vaishno Devi Junction, because you had launched one of the first projects here on residential.
Hello. So commercial and residential always go in tandem. They're not separate. Residential creates commercial demand, commercial job creation creates residential demand. They always go in tandem. So as a principle of town planning, you'll need about 5% of commercial space in square footage than what you would do residential in any micro market. Unless people are commuting from that micro market to a job hub, like industrial area, you won't see residential in the same proportion because people don't want to live in the industrial areas. They want to commute to industrial areas and come back to that. Shell are developed because of that. All the southern section of South Global and Shell. Exactly. They developed because of that. All the industrial development was further down in Sanand and Jamgodar areas. So commercial development is always going to happen in the residential micro markets in that same proportion. Sometimes they get oversupplied, then we say, commercial is not selling. Sometimes we overbuild that because, as I said, the mixed use development is the order of the day. You have to monetize it because the land pricing is higher. So you try, and the bylaws allow you to do 10-15%. Even in RH, you're allowed 10% commercial. In a normal mixed use project, you tend to do more than 15% commercial. So you see ground first selling faster, and second and third, if you do, it stays vacant because the demand gets
Filled up
or catered by the first floor or the 5% commercial of the residential area. And then the residential, when you build, the actual occupancy and the habitation takes another 5-10 years. So unless you have the habitation in the residential micro market, your commercial offtake will not happen. And the builders tend to sell commercial before they want to sell residential because it's a faster monetization. It's an investment product. So there is always going to be disconnect between the supply side of the commercial and the demand, because demand comes later, supply comes first. You want investors. So you see the commercial and the residential stabilizing over a period of 10 years in any micro market. And whatever you see vacant is that access that the builder built.
So that, don't you think it should be tweaked and they should not go beyond first floor as a commercial, or improvise their quality of deliverance in commercial as well? Because what I've seen majorly, residential with the part of commercial at the front of their project does dampen the image of the residential at times. And of course, oversupply has been a concern that I have seen over the past decade or so in commercial, which has resulted in a second and third floor lying vacant for years to come?
It's a very good question. So, exactly, it's a planning issue. It downgrades the position of your residential project. I've done all kinds of projects. I've done only residential, even if I could have done commercial, and I thought that somebody would give premium, but we didn't get premium. Right. There are developers who did only office, didn't do retail, so that they can get premium in the office. They didn't get premium. So market it acts sometimes funny and doesn't reward you for something that you do. So you come back to the bare basics. Bare basics is you do commercial as much as you can, and you do residential, but focus on the planning so that that commercial doesn't create nuisance for the residential. Create separate entrances, create elevations in such a way, and things like that. But you're right. If you don't plan it right, the older buildings, if you see in the old CBD, they were not planned as well. So the commercial and residential is kind of hodgepodge. So those buildings are the ones that are not getting sold faster in the resale market, in the secondary market, and people are going for the newer areas because they're better planned. Even if it's a mixed-use project with commercial.
It has been a learning, but how that learning is implemented going forward is the key factor to wait and watch and see with the developers. Because yet I see a few projects that have launched are still following the same old trend, right? And Dhruv, I can certain that. But said again, what Rocky sir said, designing and making it more user-friendly or resi-friendly is the way forward. But do you foresee that being part of CREDAI? You.
I'm doing one redevelopment project, and Dhruv knows which one. It's his dad's project I'm redeveloping. And I'm not doing any commercial there. Because we're on a narrow road, with the density will increase to double than what it is. Think it like, 200 flats is absolutely different. So there are 200 flats, we're going to build 400 flats. It's that society that he had built 40 years ago. But we're not doing commercial. Because if I did commercial, you would hurt the positioning of that residential. So we have to take a very conscious call from project to project, from location to location. Is the micro market supplied enough, oversupplied, undersupplied, and then you decide. I'm doing one GHB, Gujarat Housing Project redevelopment, where I'm doing only ground floor commercial. I could have done first and second. I'm only doing ground floor. Right? So we have to think of what is supplied, how much limited inventory you release in that project of commercial. That gets sold faster, it appreciates faster, and fills up. And doesn't, you see these buildings where you have first and second floor vacant and shady businesses, and then what happens is the building's positioning goes down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Well, as Paras Bhai said, he himself sits on the designing and those kind of aspects of the building. I'm sure with this new age of entrepreneurs and developers, quality will improve, right? And designs will improve. And by the way, Ahmedabad is the architecture capital of India. We are designing the best houses, the best building, the best commercial, best quality, and this is just not a slogan. We have been operating in Mumbai, we are operating in Bangalore, Pune, and everywhere. Believe me, you are sitting in a place which is giving the best designed buildings in this country at least.
The best cost.
Of course. Yeah, we are pocket conscious.
I will second my friends here that being in CREDAI, of course I'm a second generation developer, so I have seen the evolution of real estate with more than 60 projects that we have built over the years. Real estate development is evolutionary. Every decade the requirements changes, and so does the planning and the projects that come out. So traveling all over India for CREDAI, having friends all over the country, yes, I can definitely put my foot down and confidently say that the cost and the quality ratio that Ahmedabad has to offer, no other city or state in the country can offer. So I think we are in the best place in terms of real estate.
Great. So I guess we are doing the right thing at the right time at the right place. Fantastic. Thank you all. It has been a quite insightful session. I appreciate you all coming in and giving your time. And I thank Realty Plus again for this. We have run out of time, but are we allowed to take a question or two, Sapna?
Absolutely, absolutely. With you stalwarts around, how can we not take questions? Please, the floor is open for questions. Can I please have hands raised over here? Sir, you have a question?
Hello, I'm Amit Baid. I'm from ABC Brand Advisory. We work on real estate communications. One question that came to me during this discussion. We spoke about consumers willing to spend and willing to pay for what we are trying to offer. Do you think stronger brands will be able to do that? If we build stronger real estate brands, the consumer's willingness to spend will change.
Hello. Absolutely. A brand cannot be built overnight. And a company, if they are creating a brand for themselves, is because they are giving value. Value in terms of service, value in terms of quality, value in terms of the innovations that they give to the customer. And that is why that brand value comes into play. With the social media in place today, and everybody wants to upgrade their lifestyle, have the best of the phones, best of the traveling. We all know that that we live the era in people want quality and different products. So I think brands, real estate branded companies understand this very well. So sometimes it may be that you're not getting premium pricing, but yes, then you're selling faster. But yes, I think it will help.
मैं भी इसका जवाब दूंगा. ऑब्वियसली यदि आप रियल एस्टेट या कोई भी क्षेत्र में अपना 15 साल 20 साल 10 साल क्वालिटी बेस पे देते हो तो वो 100% उठता है. उसका उदाहरण हम है कि हम रियल एस्टेट में अपनी हर एक ब्रांड पे 1000 रुपीस प्रीमियम लेते हैं और ऑब्वियसली कस्टमर हमको देता है. जैसे कि हमने धरोहर लॉन्च किया है अभी निर्वा के पास में, तो आजू बाजू वाले लोग जो हैं जिस भाव से बेच रहे हैं हम लोग 1000 रुपीज ऑब्वियसली प्लस में बेच रहे हैं. और सीतल की क्वालिटी पे जो है वो लोग बाग वो 1000 रुपीज को भूल भी जाते हैं और दे भी देते हैं. तो ऑब्वियसली यदि आप कोई भी क्षेत्र में अपना समय दोगे और क्वालिटी दोगे तो वो आपको रिबेट 100% देगा. तो ऐसा ही रियल एस्टेट में है, चाहे रॉकी भाई हो चाहे अरविंद जो हो. अरविंद ग्रुप ऑब्वियसली अभी जो काम कर रहा है वो प्लॉटिंग और डेवलपमेंट में काम कर रहा है, तो डेवलपमेंट का प्रीमियम मुझे लगता है कि उनको मिलता ही होगा. तो मैं कहूँगा यस, रियल एस्टेट में यदि आप एक अच्छा आपका क्वालिटी देते हैं तो आप उसको प्रीमियम चार्ज कर सकते.
We are actually running short of time. We have one more question over there. You can connect offline with them. Thank you.
My name is Jawahar Dudani and born and raised in Ahmedabad, but last 40 years I'm in US. How's the NRI business in Gujarat and what are we doing to increase that business?
So over a period of time, NRI sales have dropped because of the asset management that it takes in India for them to do the upkeep of their assets. The rental yields are very low compared to the US now, as well as in India compared to the prevailing interest rates. So if you're paying 8% plus interest rate on a home loan and you have a 3% yield on it, obviously it's not as desirable, and unless you make up 10% appreciation to beat that interest rates. But that 10% appreciation also doesn't come in a secondary market in most of the markets. So NRIs need to go for more structured product, like you have fractional ownership now coming up everywhere. The yields are better. They need to take commercial real estate exposure rather than a residential exposure. They need to go for asset classes which need less involvement and less maintenance. Plus, there are a lot of professional asset management companies have also evolved, and the categories like co-living, senior housing, all of that is coming, and NRI should focus on that. But just vanilla residential or vanilla commercial, where they need to get involved every time a tenant leaves or every time there is a maintenance issue, will not work for NRIs very well. This is my opinion.
Thank you so much. We have one more question, bandwidth for one more question. I request you to kindly stand up and ask. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Tanuj Gupta. I'm from a PropTech company and we work across Delhi and South India. And I have spent 2 years in Ahmedabad. In the past 5 years, I have seen how prices have changed. And the gentleman from Kedai mentioned a very important thing. The combination of quality and cost that we have in Ahmedabad is very sweet. But when we talk about projects which are coming around, let's say South Bhopal, where the prices are 10,000, 12,000 rupees square feet. When we talk about end customers, not investors, where do you think they're coming from when we don't have so many corporate jobs increasing, in Ahmedabad compared to other cities? So where do you think this demand is going to be satisfied from?
I think the entire real estate market of South Bhopal is not premiumized at the rate that you were saying. That's a very small segment of the entire segment of the area of development. South Bhopal as an area is a higher middle class segment, and now we are seeing the extension to Shela as well. But one of the biggest occupancy comes from the industrialized zone, which is near Sanand, Chamodar, and Bawla. So I think Ahmedabad and Gujarat per se is a highly industrialized state. So we are already seeing a lot of people coming and working from outside also, setting up their industries in these areas and living in South Bhopal and Shela now at South Bhopal has very less space. So I think the experience you might have at 10,000 rupees and higher is a very small segment in compared to the entire market.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please request you all to give you a huge round of applause for this wonderful panel. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I request you all to kindly wait. We'll have a group photo and then I'll be calling Sapna Srivastav, the editor of Reality Plus, for the token of appreciation. Can we please have the group photo first going in?